This is a look at the hospital in Chiang Rai, Thailand right now. The first 4 people pulled from a nearby cave Sunday were taken to this hospital after being rescued. So far, officials have not released much information about their conditions. Jake Zweig is a former Navy SEAL with experience in underwater rescues. He's been following the developments out of Thailand. Jake, great to see you. If you were getting in the water this morning going to do this, what would be your biggest concern?
You know, at that point, you really don't have any concerns, to be honest with you. You're just focused on the task order at hand. Basically, you've rehearsed this. I mean, they got it down to 10 minutes on the first run from the rehearsal. So you're basically just going through your checklist of things that you got to do in the mission. And you've practiced for contingencies, but you're really not thinking about concerns so much. It's more so about what you got to do to achieve the mission.
And give us a sense of what that checklist looks like.
So the first thing you're going to start with, everybody has their job. I'm sure they've walked through it a number of times. Right before they all go in the cave, they probably walk through it again. Hey, I'm standing here. This is my job. And the guy in charge is going to make sure that everybody knows exactly what they're doing. There's probably some mid-level leaders that are in charge of the spaces, i.e. the places where the soccer team is getting out of the water and walking. You know, they put a bunch of layers of redundancy in there to make sure that everybody's capable of doing what they're supposed to do and to limit the risk to the soccer players and to the rescue team.
Is this the type of thing you ever trained for, rescuing novice divers in this kind of scenario? And how do you train for it?
To be honest with you, you know, I never trained for it, but we trained for rescuing down pilots behind enemy lines, and that's pretty much the same deal. You know, very risky. Not a lot of help. You know, most of the time the pilots don't get shot down near the line. You know, they get shot down well behind it. And, you know, it's just one of those things. The difference is, though, you know, as a former Navy SEAL, and we got U.S. Navy SEALs on the ground there now, they're some of the world's best at thinking and overcoming adversity. So, you know, I don't care what the mission is. They're going to find a way to win. You've got some of the world's best cave rescue divers there, and you got Thai SEALs there. So you literally have – oh, that's right. And you got Elon Musk on the ground also, some of his crew. You literally got some of the smartest people in the world, and you definitely got the most capable people. So I don't care if they're trying to build a space shuttle to go destroy an asteroid coming into Earth. They're going to find a way to win.
Love the movie shout out. But we're looking at these kids, 11 to 16-year-old kids in not terrific health after more than 2 weeks down in this cave, not a trained U.S. Air Force pilot who you know, potentially would be rescuing. Does that concern you at all? Or if you're pulling someone through the water, it doesn't really matter what their skill set is?
Well, I mean, it actually helps that they're kids because they're a lot smaller.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, Brooke, they've made an assessment of every person's, you know, kind of psychological makeup. And if you got some really nervous kids, they're probably giving them some sedatives to calm them down a little bit before they pull them through. They may have taken the nervous kids first, to be honest with you, to kind of get them out of the situation and calm everybody else down. But to be honest with you, the fact that they're young and little really helps out because they're not doing much swimming. They're getting pulled along and pushed along down the rope. You know, to be honest with you, it's probably a godsend that they're little people.
You mentioned who you bring through first. It's something I've been thinking about. Would you bring the strongest kids first to make sure the technique works, the weakest kids because you're more worried about how long they can be in the cave? How would you choose who to bring out?
They probably took the 2 strong kids first in that first wave. I believe they were doing them in 2s. And then that second, once they got those first 2 through, they went to the next 2 that were probably the weakest. The thing you got to understand, though, is they didn't know the outcome when they started, right? They passed them off to somebody else. So they probably had an order determined. You know, there was a doctor in there and 2 Navy SEALs. You know, one thing we're real good at is psychological profiling of people. You know, you got to know who to shoot in a bad situation. So they knew who was going to be the problem kids, and they probably planned it that way so that they could get them out right behind the 2 successful kids.
We've believed, and I mean, everyone has said this is an incredibly difficult mission, and then you see them succeed so well yesterday and quicker than they even anticipated. Does this still strike you as an incredibly dangerous mission, or when you see those 4 young people come out, do you say, okay, I think this may be doable?
Brooke, let's be honest, man. We can't count our chickens before they hatch, right? I mean, we've already lost one very experienced Thai Navy SEAL, so to think that, we're going to get these next 8 people out unscathed without any more fatalities, I'm going to be honest with you, man, it's a stretch. It's still, just as dangerous as climbing Mount Everest. It may be more dangerous than climbing Mount Everest. At least in Mount Everest, you're just worried about falling. There, you're worried about breathing, falling, getting lost, a whole bunch of other factors.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the setting. I'm curious how much experience you have, dealing in these narrow cave situations and what that's like.
So it's interesting. A couple years back, I was down in the cenotes down in Mexico, those underwater caverns. Mm-hmm. And I was free diving a hole basically in a cave where I was staying. I was down about 20 feet with no air, and it got real tight, and I had to turn around. And, we all have this little spidey sense when you're doing something that can get you killed. And my spidey sense went to 100, and I managed to get out of the little tight space I was in. But I'm very familiar with being underground in tight spaces, and it's never a nice thing.
How much does the rain concern you in that context?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, that's what got him in trouble in the first place. So at this point, it just is one of the hazards of the job.
Yeah. Okay, Jake Zweig, thanks so much. Really insightful and interesting stuff from a former Navy SEAL who's dealt with situations like this. Jake, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Hey, appreciate it, Brooke. Have a great night.